Hello, and welcome to the 12th episode of the T40's podcast. I'm the man known as Benson, and these are my cohorts here.
I'm Alex.
I'm not implicated in anything, but I'm Ryan.
My name is Michael.
He is implicated, just so you know.
Yeah, just from saying those words instantly.
So I'll be your host this week. If you want to send us an email, go ahead and do so at podcast@tipping40s.com or leave us a voicemail at 218-666-8407. We will read or listen to your message, even if we don't use it on the air, so send them over, and if you have something interesting to say,
Make sure there's
maybe
strings.
we'll talk about it.
And please don't send us things for Viagra. We're good.
Yeah, we get a lot of those.
Speak for yourself. Okay, so today we're going to be doing the beer of the week, as usual, after which we will go over to Alex and we'll talk about faggots and guns, according to him. I'm not sure what that means, but I've been gone all
This is
week.
an NRA podcast now.
Apparently, yeah. And then Mike will teach us about the film Date with an Angel. That sounds beautiful. And Ryan will have some commentary on the tragedy in Oslo, Norway.
Yeah.
With a gunshot.
Yeah.
Hey, it's related to mine too. I'm talking about guns.
Great. And of course, after that, we will finish up with the top 3 grossing movies of the week. And we'll close it up with the Tipping 40's top 5 most wanted.
Yeah.
So, sorry I got the sniffles.
Yeah.
Allergies.
Yeah, allergies. But that's okay. Let's go straight on to beer of the week. I'm going to do Le Fin du Monde.
No, it isn't. Oh, you are? Never mind. I'm stupid. No.
Just ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I don't know what the problem was. Now I'm curious.
Well, the problem was you said you were going to do Fin de Man, and I just poured Terrible out for everyone.
No, I said I was doing Le Fin du Monde. I like.
Never poured this for you.
You just said. I already told you that.
You are witnessing the end of the podcast.
You just said you'd pour it out.
Fuck you!
I figured you were just being nice.
I thought you were going to taste it on the air.
Well, I have tasted it before, and I like it, but I wanted to do Le Fin du Monde.
Yeah.
So it's made by Unibrew, which is a Canadian brewery, and they make a lot of good beers, as you may have heard.
Extremely good.
We're drinking Terrible, thanks to Ryan, but
I'm bitter
they
about
also
this.
make, yes, it's
I
it's
think
hard
Le
on
Fin du
you.
Monde is 9%.
It is. It's a 9%.
It tastes like it's 5%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Also
it's-
tastes
it's
like
well,
it's
it
delicious.
does taste like lower alcohol, but it's also got like a bite to it
Yeah, it's
too.
rich.
Well, all the
Yeah.
Unibrew beers I've read once before, they're brewed in a special way where they can just add a ton more alcohol without it actually being noticeable.
Yeah. Well, according to its Wikipedia page, it's actually won like tons of medals by the Beverage Testing Institute.
Can I work there?
Whatever
I wanna
that
work
supposedly means. Yeah, I know, right?
It's just John Daly, pro golfer John Daly drinking.
Would you guys have this beer all in your top 5s?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Fin de Mande's
definitely.
good.
It'd be a it'd definitely be up there.
So this is like
It would definitely be
top
top
tier
10
right here.
at least.
Yeah, if you want a really, really, really great Belgian triple, get Le Fin du Monde.
Also, it means the end of the world. It's a pretty good name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of the podcast due to beer conflict.
Other great Unibrews.
All of them.
Every one of them is pretty good, but there's Tres Pistoles, that's great. And I think Alex's favorite beer is Don de Dieu, which is another Unibrew. Yeah, they make great beers. So
We're drinking Terrible right now, which is, what is this, dark triple?
Yeah.
if you've never had any of their beers, in
They're
short,
expensive,
I
but they're
highly recommend trying it out because they really do make unbelievably good beer.
So they're very, very good.
Yes.
They're better than pretty good. They're pretty
You need to
very
get that
good.
sound clip.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
one.
all right. I'll go ahead and get that at some point. So that's about it for the beer of the week. Let's just move right along, and we will go to Alex.
All right. So I was reading this article on ESPN by this woman named Ashley Fox. The title of this article is James Harrison's Words Dull His Point. So this article pissed me off so much that I had to do a whole segment on it instead of making
So
it
you're a
top five.
Steelers fan.
Shut up. I'll talk about
Who is James Harrison for the?
Uninformed.
I'm about to tell you.
Me.
Okay.
So he's an NFL player. He plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Here's what the first few sentences of the article said first. She says, in quotes, James Harrison does not look tough. He does not look like the meanest player in the NFL, the hardest
that's
hitter,
mean to me.
or the most feared defender. He looks like an idiot, and he looks very, very bad, end quotes.
I think she's unbiased in this article.
He looks pretty fucking mean
Yeah,
to me.
he's scary.
I don't
He's
think
kind
he's
of a scary dude.
I don't think he's smiled in like the last 10 years.
No.
Even after winning the Super Bowl, he's like, fuck it. Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
So, So let's talk about James Harrison. Who is he? He's a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is by far my most hated NFL team. I fucking hate them.
Even worse than the Cowboys. That's amazing.
Before you move on, who was this woman that said that?
She writes articles on ESPN.
She probably saw Roethlisberger's Jacobs.
She's a sports reporter.
Upset.
So she's just a regular sports reporter,
Yeah.
and she's talking shit about him for...
Yes, I'll tell you why.
This happens a lot in sports journalism. Quotes.
So he's a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. James Harrison is extremely good at what he does, which is sack quarterbacks and give players concussions. So he doesn't like anybody, especially the commissioner of the NFL, which is Roger Goodell. He fucking hates him. So lately, the NFL has been cracking down on players for like helmet-to-helmet hits or just touching a player's helmet in general. But I could talk about this for 2 hours if you want.
We kind of talked about this in an earlier episode, but not.
And it's mainly just to protect quarterbacks, which is bullshit. They don't care about anyone else.
Yeah, they've been a little bit too harsh on the helmet stuff.
Yeah. So last season, James Harrison was fined $100,000 in one season for his illegal hits, which is by far the most anyone's ever been fined in one season.
Those are multiple instances, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It was like 5 or something like that.
I think one was even a helmet-to-helmet. Like, one of them was just considered malicious.
Well, some of them, like,
remember.
most time they say if you do it on a defensive player, like a receiver catching a ball or a quarterback just throwing a ball, but this is when he's tackling running backs when they're finding him now, which is every single running back leaves with their head now. So these is not, like, super high, way too high. I think, like I said, some of those hits didn't look very illegal at all. And the referees didn't even penalize him for some of these hits, but he still got fined anyway, which is like, whoa,
Yeah,
what's going on
that's
here?
really bullshit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I could watch a game and pick, 10 plays where people should get fined then after watching that
They
play.
shouldn't be allowed to do that anyway. Like, legally, it doesn't seem like they should be allowed to do that because they're picking an arbitrary thing to fine about.
Yeah, but
because
they do
clearly,
that in the NBA,
Welcome
too.
to the NFL.
Well, that doesn't make it okay.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's a standard practice. Because it's basically like, oh, that ref didn't see that shit. He fucked up, so we're gonna make him pay. And
Yeah, but really, I mean, I know that you're agreeing with me, but the
Yeah.
point I'm making is that if the ref didn't see it, they're the professionals. They're the ones that call what is allowed and isn't allowed.
No,
So if they didn't see
they're
it,
right
then
there. They just don't think it's a penalty, which it really isn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying though.
these-
So like, if the professionals don't think that it's a penalty, then the
It's come
team
to a
should
point
be
where
able
if the
to.
player doesn't get a concussion, they don't fine him. But if they do, they do. It doesn't matter.
That's stupid.
It's
That's
When he
ridiculous.
trips over his own feet and slams his head on the ground.
So there's
Yeah.
no
Fine
like,
him.
there's no like ends
Fine his
versus.
feet.
There's no
so
like ends
like I
versus
said, we
the
could talk
means
about this
then.
forever. So let's try to
All
get
right,
past
yeah,
that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So James Harrison did an interview for a separate thing called Men's Journal, and in this article, there's a picture of him with a shirt off, holding 2 guns, like the Hitman game, across his chest.
Yeah.
And these are
Sounds
actually
pretty sweet.
his handguns. He legitimately owns them, legitimately purchased them. In this article, he also calls Roger Goodell a punk dictator and a faggot.
Okay.
Sounds about right to me. He's
He's kind of all
He's
three
still,
of those.
I still like him more than the last guy, but he is those things, which he kind of has to be. So now back to Ashley Fox, who wrote this article I read. She starts to whine about what's worse, James Harrison holding 2 guns, oh my god, guns, or using anti-gay slur. Okay, let's clarify this here. Faggot is no longer an anti-gay slur. It can be used as that, but the word's moved away from that. A faggot is someone who's a little bitch or a cockbag or just someone you don't like.
Citation needed.
Okay.
No, I totally,
So I don't know if this is
I totally agree.
I don't know if this is something that old people think. They just always think it's related to gay people. Because when I was a kid, everyone called everyone a faggot all the time, and it was never related to being
It's
gay.
really the meaning of the word. Like, I can call someone an asshole and it's like whatever, but it depends on the influence of the voice, the context of the word. It's
But I
more
think
than
it's-
just the actual word.
I think it's-
usually a faggot is someone you would say is a whiny bitch, basically.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's if someone's being like out of sort, like they're being a pain in the ass for no
Unproportionally,
reason.
yeah.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with their sexual
just moved
orientation
away to
because
a different connotation.
Yeah, it's like the word gay in a way, because everybody's saying, "Oh, that's gay." I mean, they're not saying that is a homosexual in nature. They're saying it's stupid. It's,
yeah, I've
the
met
context
plenty.
of the word
I've
has
met
changed.
plenty of gay people who don't act like faggots ever, but I've met plenty of faggots who are not gay also. Like it's very
Exactly.
They're completely separate.
So now every time a sports player in the media says like faggot, the media gets all pissy and says, "Oh, there's an anti-gay slur," or they also say they're using a homophobic slur,
Yeah.
which I don't even want to talk about that.
That's
Yeah,
different though,
that's-
because like in order to be homophobic, you have to actively hate and
Yeah.
be afraid of them. But
Now-
just saying the word faggot doesn't make those connotations.
I agree.
This seems kind of unfair, but the reason why Prop 8 failed in California was because there was a large turnout of minority voters. So minorities tend to hate gay people. It's very against
Well, I think
a
that
lot of their cultures because they're very religious.
I think it's kind of tangential, but it goes off on the same point, which is like if you say the word nigger, you don't hate every black person on earth. I don't use that word, but it's more for my own safety. But I believe people should use it. But it really is for my own safety because you can't say that around black people. They really will get offended
But that's
by
because
it.
people still use that word in the old school way.
Yeah.
Just
They
like
do.
faggot. People still look at a gay person, they're just like, oh, this faggot.
don't
Oh, I
say it.
hate
People-
him, this fag little
Yeah.
faggot. Like,
Yeah, no,
they
you're
hate
right.
that
You're absolutely right. But
It's weird.
Again,
No.
It's
But
the whole connotation of how you say it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like the way you were just saying it implies hate, and some people's like, oh, he's a faggot.
Well, the
It
point
doesn't
I'm making
seem
is
stupid.
that regardless of whether those people are right or not, like whether those words are technically acceptable or not, they should realize, the people getting offended by it should realize that it's a few people ruining it for the majority of people because
but they don't
most
have that
people
kind of
don't use
critical
these
thought.
words to insult black people or to insult gay people.
Because all young people I know, they just say faggot. They don't mean it as an anti-gay thing at all. I don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's not the word that has power; it's the connotations.
Yeah,
behind
exactly.
it.
But people don't realize that. Anyway,
Yeah.
All right, so then she keeps writing on, Ashley Fox, talking about the image with Harrison holding the guns, and this is what she says. It is a ridiculous image for kids to see. Harrison is a professional football player and therefore, unfortunately, a role model for some children. In the picture,
He's not.
In the picture, he is
Yeah, we've
promoting
talked about
guns as
that.
if he has never been to inner city Chicago or Detroit or Philly and seen the devastation
lives
gun
in
use
Pittsburgh.
causes. Okay, first of all, what if he's promoting guns? If someone wants to be a gun owner, that's fine. Secondly,
right.
Absolutely.
she cries about guns causing devastation in some cities. Guess what? People have the choice to fire their gun or not. A gun does not cause or force someone to fire upon another person. It is the conflict that the person has with another person that has caused them to harm someone, not owning the gun.
The only valid argument against guns that I've ever heard is that people often hurt themselves with them, which is why I
The
believe
child
that
doesn't know how to use it.
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
count.
and I
That is a
believe
good
that if
argument.
you have a gun, you should be forced to take gun safety classes
Yes.
and understand how a gun operates.
And I say if you have guns mixed with other drugs, then like alcohol,
Yeah.
people start feeling different when there's a gun around them. Like if it's their gun, they're like, "Hey, check this out!" And they're
yeah,
waving
well,
it around,
if it's their
doing
gun, they
dumb
feel
shit.
great
Showing
with
it
it,
to
and everyone else
journalists.
feels
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
aiming it at their head, even when they're not drunk and they're in public office.
I agree, but again, the problem isn't with the gun. It's because people choose to do dangerous things.
Yeah.
That's the same with a car. People act differently when they're drunk in a car, and they go like, "Oh, it's fine to drive." But the point is, you're putting yourself and everyone else in danger. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, so I think believing guns are the cause of violence is like the lowest form of intelligence to me. People,
Yeah, that's like if the cavemen blamed pointy sticks for
Yeah.
violence. It's the same thing.
people have a
hey, you
choice.
got to
To,
ban pointing sticks.
yeah, people have a choice to kill someone, whether it's because someone raped their child or because someone stepped on their shoe.
They lived in a poor upbringing without
Yeah.
any role models.
Those people will use whatever weapon they can to end the conflict
Yeah.
and the way they feel it should end. So, guns just happen to be the most effective way of doing this right now.
Well, yeah.
That's true.
They're the
No,
equalizer,
I think
basically.
it is talking it out. Saying, listen, please stop raping me.
Yeah, that kills
Now,
more
here's
people
the
than it
thing, though.
saves.
One thing that is true is when someone pulls out a gun, most people are stupid. They go, "Oh, this guy's attacking me. I'm gonna pull out a gun." Well, that dude has a gun too, and he's probably better with the gun than you are. So you just die because that guy probably wasn't gonna shoot you, most likely, unless he's really homicidal. It's not likely. Now you pull out a gun, he's scared, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna shoot this dude because I'm gonna die." You know, it becomes survival.
Yeah.
Like.
So then, this Ashley Fox person keeps whining about how Harrison has no right to call anyone a faggot. It's not a slang term. So I sent her an email calling her a faggot, and then gay people are awesome. So it's going to confuse the shit out of her. She's not going to know what to do. Also, her final comments in the article are as quoted: "If he wants to own a gun, fine, that is his right. But don't pretend that a gun makes you tough. It does not. It makes you dangerous."
What?
According to her, you don't
Doesn't
need.
make you either.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It makes you a gun owner.
You don't need intent to
Yeah.
be dangerous. I guess if I just buy a pizza cutter, I'm dangerous.
I gotta, I gotta interject with something here.
What did he already
Here's something I gotta say. Guns make people look cool. They do. Guns are cool, man. They look cool.
It's technology.
Have you
It's-
seen Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth? He looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, guns project an image of coolness.
Well,
and
that's
it's the same
the
with.
media's been doing that forever.
It's the same with cigarettes, I think. That people go like, cigarettes are gross.
They
If
are.
you see someone smoking, you go, yeah, it is gross. But people look cool when they smoke. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not.
Well, it's also because I work in IT and almost everyone in my IT department owns a gun, and they love technology. Like, oh, I got this cool technology. It's a gun.
Yeah, well, for full disclosure, we live in Arizona where pretty much everyone has a gun. So
that is true. I mean, there's
I actually don't like guns.
None of us. Wait,
no,
you do.
I do, but
Yeah.
there's
Ryan
a
does
huge
have
gun culture here. It's
Yeah,
just
there
like,
is.
there's
There
part
is.
of it. Yeah.
But I believe that's how it should be. I think there's nothing wrong with owning a gun as long as you are safe and know how to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get back to James Harrison.
Yeah,
So,
go on.
she says so many more things in this article I don't have time to talk about. But Harrison also shits on his teammates like Roethlisberger for being terrible in the Super Bowl, and their running back Richard Menho calling him a fumble machine.
That sounds about
So
right.
I've come to the conclusion.
True.
I've come to the conclusion that James Harrison is just the real life Rorschach, who is the character from The Watchmen.
Yeah.
He's like, but instead of killing people, he just gives people concussions. So like, let's see. He hates everyone. No one wants to work with him. He refused to go to the White House because he like hates Obama or something.
Yeah.
Most of all, he'll never compromise, saying that he will never change the way he plays, no matter what the rules are or the fines. He's still going to just play exactly the same.
Well, how much does he get paid per year?
A lot.
Yeah, he gets paid a lot.
Oh, so he doesn't care.
He's one of the best
when he
players in the
when he
league.
won Defensive Player of the Year, he only got paid like $500,000 a year. Now he gets paid like $5 million a year.
Oh, so he doesn't care about those fines.
No.
So
Well,
what's his name?
James Harrison.
Yeah, that's my message to you. Fuck you and kiss my ass.
So I think he's like the only like old school NFL player left that's like, just wants to hurt people and inflict pain on everyone, like Jack Lambert and those guys. So I have some of his quotes. So here's a James Harrison quote. Up until last year, there was no word of me being dirty, till Roger Goodell, who's a crock and a puppet, said I was the dirtiest player in the league. If that man was on fire and I had to piss to put him out, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I love that quote.
That guy sounds awesome.
Dude,
He doesn't give a shit
Sounds
about
like
anything.
He sounds like an action movie person.
Yeah, he does.
Like a real.
here's another quote. If I get fined for that for some hit, it's going to be a travesty. I didn't hit that hard, to be honest with you. When you get a guy on the ground, it's a perfect tackle. This is what he said after giving the guy a concussion. So a concussion's a perfect tackle because he's on the ground and he gets knocked out of the ground.
I'm just waiting for like in 30 years the NFL like merges and morphs itself into just like Coliseum games and people
Yeah,
just go
and
after each
just
other.
die.
Well, I think it's kind of true though. Like if you hit someone with a really good hit and it's a legal hit and they get concussed and they have to be removed from the game, that is a perfect tackle.
Well,
it's like there's nothing wrong with wanting to hurt the opponent.
Well, I mean,
as
if you
long
think
as
about it
do
from
within the
from a
rules.
sports standpoint, I mean, tackling the person and getting like the star running back out of the game is great for your team.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're not breaking rules,
He
that's
also
what
says
you want
like
to do.
he says like they're not actually injured. Like he doesn't consider concussions an injury. Like
Well,
he,
it is
he's
hilarious.
really against injuring people's legs and
Concussions
hurting
are a
them.
bad injury.
But he just wants to cause pain. So he's like he doesn't mental injury does not correspond to him. So this guy has concussions all the time.
The fact is,
Yeah,
most
probably he's dinged up and just.
the fact
yeah,
is, of
bad.
course, most of the time concussions
Traumatic brain
are
injury.
well, concussions are very bad, but getting a concussion once in a while isn't usually going to cause permanent damage
It's
unless
doing
it
it over and
happens
over again
over and
for-
over,
for
which
10 years.
which is why football players often.
Yeah.
So
end
to
up
end this whole
ruined.
wine fest shit, James Harrison is now my favorite player, and he's on my most hated team.
that's ironic. Right
That's
there.
a
Hey, who-
like double think going on right there.
Yeah, that's
Who
very
doesn't like
poetic.
Rorschach, man? Who doesn't like him?
So that I like that. That was
fun.
That was good for Sometimes we have sports segments and
Sports.
it's kind of hard because I have no clue what you're talking about usually. But that was a
Yeah, I
good
just
one.
tried to explain. I know we have a lot of fans that aren't big sports fans. But.
Yeah, I like that. That was good. That was a good conversation.
We had a good conversation.
Yeah.
Now we'll not have a good conversation.
So I think Mike has a date with an angel here.
Yeah. So
How was your date, by the way?
It was not great.
It didn't go too well.
Date, not great. That rhymes, kind of. So Date with an Angel, it was made in the late 80s. It was actually produced, I couldn't believe this, by Studio Canal, which is a huge French studio.
Yeah.
And Dino De Laurentiis, who, if you've seen Food Network, the big, huge Italian woman with the huge head.
Right.
She's the one that makes sandwiches. all the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's attractive. She just has a giant head.
Wait,
it's
isn't
her
that-
grandfather,
Gia?
Giada De Laurentiis.
Giada, okay. These are
But-
Dino or something.
Yeah, Dino De Laurentiis has produced tons of movies. I mean, he's kind of a legend. He produced like the Evil Dead movies too. So he did like little films, big films, did a lot of B movies, did some A-list movies, kind of all over the place. Very rich. So he, near the end of his career, he's like, Date with an Angel, perfect. The movie was directed and written by the same person. I
That's
think
always
it's
a good thing.
Tom McLaughlin. So this must have been his pet project. Like,
Right.
oh, this is
It's
fantastic.
like a labor of love.
Yeah. So
This movie like art house or something?
No. It's very conventional.
What year?
It's barely even
87,
house.
I think.
87. Okay.
Yeah. So the main characters are Jim, who's played by Michael E. Knight. I can't remember what else he's been in, but he's pretty familiar looking. And then Phoebe Cates, who is Patricia. And you probably know her from the Judge Reinhold fantasy sequence in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
You know, the one with the bra?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
her. She chops off all her hair in this movie, though, and yeah, it doesn't work. But anyways, so Patricia is a model for her father's, who's Mr. Winston. Just remember that, Mr. Winston. Okay. This is a very plot-heavy movie. Mr. Winston's cosmetic company. They are very wealthy, but Mr. Winston is struggling with a new cosmetic line, which she's the model for, called the Ethereal line.
Oh, God.
Do you see where this is going?
Yeah, I
You need a +1 sword to hit anything on the Imperial.
So then we're introduced to Jim. By the way, they're at an engagement party when you meet everyone. It's Exposition City. They're talking about every main character in detail.
Of course.
Just letting you know who they are and what they do for a living.
So wait, they dump exposition?
Yeah, they just dump it on
I love
you.
it when the movies do that.
Yeah, it's
Never,
great. It's
never
good
seen
writing.
this before.
So then we're introduced to Jim. He's a salesperson in the movie who decides to open his first scene by doing base running between engagement party tables. So he's like, I'm stealing second, and his wife doesn't understand what he's doing, and neither did I. So whatever. The joke didn't make any sense. Okay. So the movie instantly starts off pretty great. About 8
So I'm
minutes
guessing
in.
that what you were already thinking was...
Is it over?
Yeah. Well, at that point, yes, but then it turned, and it went, okay, where is this movie going? So suddenly this affluent engagement party is raided by 3 armed robbers.
Whoa,
A
what?
full party.
An engagement party?
Yeah, full
Wow.
party. There's like 100 people there. Fucking armed robbers come in with guns. They're like, hey, get the fuck down, all this shit.
If we were in Arizona,
And then-
it'd be fine.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
true. Because he didn't shoot
everyone be
anyone
holding.
yet. But then they only take Jim, the main character, and then they exit by throwing a grenade into the middle of the party. Okay, now let me clarify. But when you see it, though, you're like, oh, this movie's going to be fantastic. This is great. I have no idea where this is going.
Why'd they take him?
That's
Okay,
insane.
So it turns out, though, the terrorists are the armed robbers. Were just Jim's friends, surprising him.
What?
Saving him from the marriage?
Yeah, saving him from the bit, having a surprise bachelor party.
That's
right.
the most insane thing I've ever heard.
So it was
So how many people
by the
died
way,
during this?
No, the grenade was in fact a rubber grenade, and they
I was
called
done.
the owner
Dude, that would
back.
freak me out.
Yeah. By the way, no charges were filed at this time.
Yeah,
But we'll
well,
get back to that.
oh my God.
So the next morning, he wakes up and his whole house is trashed. He obviously had a party. He wakes up with a blow-up doll. I know, 80s. And
Sure.
suddenly an angel crashes into the pool.
Like just
Right.
falls.
Yep. And basically the angel's injured and like her wings damaged, right? So he picks her up, takes her out of the pool, and like does CPR on her and stuff and revives her.
Before you go on, is this basically the movie Splash but with an angel?
It kind of is, but it's worse.
Oh, okay.
It's worse. It's
All
way
right.
worse. Okay, so it's much more abhorrent, like in terms of what it teaches. But anyways, so he revives the angel, and he's about to make out with the angel, and he passes out, which makes no sense.
Why?
It's straight up.
What?
Why would you just pass out?
Why
'Cause
did
he's still drunk or whatever.
But he was able to perform CPR.
Yeah. So
What?
he wakes up to the door knocking. And he thinks it's all a dream
Yeah.
because he saw this angel with whatever. Okay, I got
blown
whatever.
away
It's
here.
a stretch.
Drunk.
Phoebe Cates' character Patricia comes over, yells at him, and obviously they do some patchwork where it's like, yeah, I got your call. It was just a big prank, but my dad's super mad.
Yeah.
Because charges would have been filed. Anyways, so she leaves, and he thinks everything's kosher. Like,
Right.
oh, that was just a dream. I'll go over there, and suddenly he sees the angel again, which we were introduced with. Play that first clip. This is the angel.
All right.
What is this?
So
Is she a whale or something?
I was like, the
That
angel.
sounded like a dolphin.
The angel doesn't speak. It speaks like a dolphin.
Really?
Yeah.
The whole movie? movie?
No, pretty much the
Oh
whole
my
movie.
God.
I'll get to, yeah.
That's insane.
So, yeah, it's kind of baffling. So later, his friends, the terrorist guys, the armed robbers,
yeah.
stop by and accidentally find the angel. They think it's a prostitute they bought for him. I think that's what they're saying. Or a woman they tried to get him to have sex with, at least.
Yeah.
Wow.
His friends are horrible, by the way. They're the worst people on the planet. And they instantly think they need to cash in on this angel. They need products. Because they're salespeople, too.
Yeah.
So they need to cash in.
Well, they are the
need-
worst people on the planet.
TV appearances, toys, make a bunch of money. And they try to convince Jim of this. Jim, of course, declines because he's the main character. He has to be good.
Right.
But unfortunately, he forgot to go to Patricia's house because he was distracted by this angel, who, by the way, is constantly trying to make out with him. Yeah, because he saved her. That's why. She's like, oh,
So
I
angels
love
are
you.
sluts, apparently.
Yeah. So
They just have
Patricia,
low self-esteem.
Patricia comes over and sees the angel in the background wrapped in like a shawl because her wing was injured.
Okay.
And of course, she's like, "Oh, you have a mistress," and she runs out.
Right.
So now we got the conventional
triangle,
romantic
yeah.
comedy convention
the love
where it's
triangle.
like misunderstanding.
Misunderstand. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So then Jim tries to show Patricia that she really is an angel because he keeps saying, "Oh, she's an angel," and then she slaps him because of,
Stupid.
Because
Yeah.
that's really dumb.
Yeah. It's infuriating. It happens like 14 times in the movie. Like, it's unbelievable. The whole movie is him trying to explain. Like, there's one part where she's literally sitting outside the house in a trench coat, and he's like, hey, like she's in her mansion, and she's like, hey, look, I'm going to take off this trench coat. It's an angel. 'Cause she has wings and everything.
Yeah.
And she turns on the sprinklers and turns around. If this guy's been chasing you for days, wouldn't you just give like a few seconds to go like, man, this guy's being kind of crazy. Maybe I got to see what he's up to.
Sprinklers.
But no.
What's in the water
So,
supply?
Yeah.
he keeps trying to get a hold of her. It's failing. He's basically trying to show this angel to her and can't.
Right.
So when all else fails, Jim needs to feed the angel. So for the first meal, he takes her
White Castle.
Wendy's.
Damn it.
Hold
At
on, honey. I
first-
gotta feed the angel.
At first, she is frightened by it.
The
But then,
Baconator.
of course, she begins to love French fries. And I tried to get a sound clip of this, but the sound quality was so bad, I couldn't get it. But, okay, so the friends are trying to find the angel to steal it. By the way, his friends are trying to
Okay.
steal the angel so they can make money off of
So
it.
it's like Raising Arizona then.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's a lot like that. But way more ridiculous. So what they do is they try to... Jim makes some phone call to Patricia and leaves her in the car for no reason. It's just plot setup.
Okay.
Guys find her at the Wendy's. She's chomping down on French fries. So they go, buy some French fries and lure her out of the car with the French fries.
She like a
This is a
4-year-old
giant
girl?
Wendy's ad.
Maybe they should have just
Yeah.
put a big like a French fry on a string and just attach
Yeah.
it to her back like on a stick, and so she would just keep
Is
walking.
this angel like the intelligence of like a dog or something?
Dude, she's incredibly dumb.
Billy Bob Thornton, man.
She's basically severely
fry
uncultured.
taters.
That's the
Right,
thing.
like
she doesn't-
naive.
Yeah, naive.
Doesn't understand.
So Jim catches them and kind of shoos them off. And so later on, Mr. Winston comes to Jim's place and sees him with the woman. He's like, I'm going to beat your ass. You fucking pissed off my daughter. You hurt her feelings. I'm going to beat you up. And he looks at the angel girl, and she bats her eyes, and suddenly he turns into a pile of goo and just lets her
What you
go
just
away.
said is one of the most insanely idiotic things
Yeah.
I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now
So,
dumb
continue.
for
So-
having listened to it.
This see it, literally a bumbling turd. Just mumbles about. So he gets an idea. His struggling ethereal line needs somebody. So play the second clip.
Yes, sir.
I found a face to die for. A complexion that every female on earth would sell her soul for.
Who is this girl?
My daughter's fiance's mistress.
That sounds like fucking Carl Sagan right there.
That music was amazing. It
This
sounded
mu-
like an episode of Nova.
Yeah, tons of wind flute like synthesizers in this
Fucking
movie.
Cosmos.
Is great. So surprisingly, Patricia, who is the model for her dad's company, he's
course.
firing her. She's not too happy about this scenario where
Daddy,
the
I want my
mistress
paycheck.
is going to take her job. So she basically loses her mind.
Okay.
Okay. So suddenly, basically, the friends create this. The friends again create a fake meetup, and with him and Jim and Patricia,
Right.
and basically create a situation where they can both steal the angel and basically ruin any chance he has of getting back with Patricia.
Oh,
and
great.
they succeed in both.
Oh, good job.
So great job, friends. So the friends steal the angel, they bound and gag her, and they bring her to what looks like a town hall in Waverly, New York, like the smallest town ever, for a
Right.
press conference. And they have all these cameramen there, but they didn't buy the set that they needed because it looked absurd. And they reveal this bound and gagged angel.
Why didn't they just say they had candy or something? Because it sounds like she would have just followed them.
No, she knows something's up.
Oh,
She doesn't
okay.
trust them by this point because
Those are tricksters.
They tried
Right.
stealing her with
Yeah.
French fries.
Yeah. So basically, Jim comes and saves the day and like beats them all up.
His friends.
She fights him?
Like beats up his friends. Yeah. You can't do this because they're being total dicks.
Well, they're salespeople. They're
Well,
not
yeah.
And they never actually see the wings and stuff, so the news people don't really know. So it kind of always remains a secret in the movie. So anyways, Mr. Winston and the friends, by the way, the friends that he knows at this point
Right.
created that armed robbery stunt, grouped together to try to find Jim and the angel. Not directly. I mean, he kind of, Mr. Winston threatens him and then actually throws him in prison. So he finally does press charges, but just so he can get this angel to save his cosmetics line.
What the?
I know, dude. It's plot.
I should have
heavy. It's
saved
plot.
that sound clip because it just gets dumber and dumber every 2 seconds.
So, anyways, there's a Steve Winwood montage. Montage of Steve Winwood music. They go to a cabin.
Sweet.
Like,
What Steve Winwood song did they play?
Better things keep shining through. you
Oh, that's
know?
a good one.
Yeah. It really fits the music in the movie, anyways. Lots of pan flutes and stuff.
Right.
So, anyways, at the end, all parties come together, and the angel disappears prior to that. Patricia sees him first. She grabs a shotgun to shoot the angel prior to leaving. She finds out because Mr. Winston found out.
Right.
And she got word.
Shoot the angel.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
But she doesn't think it's an angel. She just thinks it's a mistress. still.
Okay.
So basically, she's looking around, she's threatening Jim, and suddenly the angel reappears and electrocutes both Mr. Winston and Patricia
Emperor
out of the
Palpatine?
picture.
Just-
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
so
like
the-
seriously.
the
No, she
angel-
makes little clouds.
The angel was actually Storm the whole time. That's who it was.
So basically, Jim gets hurt in the whole squabble. Not from her, but from Mr. Winston. Just gets injured.
Thunder and lightning aid my needs.
And, so everyone finally believes in the angel, right?
Yeah.
But Patricia, by this point, tried to kill people, so she's obviously just a cunt. Because
Yeah.
they had to do that in the movie so that you didn't find what happens next weird. So at the end of the movie, the angel comes back, and Jim's in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And suddenly she's not an angel anymore. She's a nurse.
Oh, so it's the Little Mermaid.
And yeah, and she
Or
got
Splash, actually.
Yeah, well, this came out before Little Mermaid. So maybe they
Pinocchio.
stole-
Oh.
So, anyways, she becomes a nurse and she says she's on a leave of absence from God. And this is the last clip. This is the last line she says, last line of the movie.
Jim, I'm starving. Do you feel well enough to take me out for some French fries?
French
French
fries.
fries.
Take her out for some
French
French
fries.
fries.
It's really hard to hear. Again, this sounds bad. But,
That's an easy date.
yeah, she's asking for some French fries.
That's a $5.95 date right there.
So, yeah. So, basically, this movie just is about French fries. And so...
It's a Wendy's ad.
I learned three things from this movie. Friends are liars, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
Rich
hate
daughters are bitches.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing I learned is that to be the perfect woman, you preferably should have no communication skill, generally submissive, and be hot.
And love French fries.
That'd be hot.
Yeah.
French fries.
And love French fries. Yeah. That's cheap.
I love French fries.
So would you say this is the worst date you've ever been on?
I don't...
The worst one with an angel.
Movie...
The worst one with an angel? Yeah, that's probably true.
Dude, you know what? She was pretty hot.
Was she actually hot?
Yeah, she was. I think they made Phoebe Cates much less attractive so that she looked more hot.
Yeah, because Phoebe Cates is pretty attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't Fast Times. I don't know. But.
Yeah.
All right, so
anyways,
next Teach Me.
Yeah, let's move it right
Next
on.
Teach
What's
Me.
the next week?
The next one is going to be Kevin learning about the triad.
The triads, the Chinese, the Southern Asian gangs.
Yeah, okay. Still
Organized
call me Kevin during the
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
Ask
Nice
questions
Good
about
job.
triads.
Yeah, if you want to ask questions about the triads, send it in. We'll have another listing of our email and phone number in a minute. So let's go on to Brian about Oslo.
Okay, so if you haven't been living under a rock, you know that shit's been going down in Norway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why
First,
not?
there was a bomb blast in a government building in Oslo that killed 7 people and injured a ton more.
Yeah.
Around the same time, a Norwegian man opened fire on a group of children in a youth retreat. There was on an island that was like 50 miles or so from Oslo. The shooter was dressed as a police officer to trick the victims and to get to the island. The shooting went for roughly 60 minutes before a SWAT team apprehended the man. So far, there's been 85 confirmed deaths of
weapon
pretty
did
much
he
all
use?
children. He used some pistols and automatic rifles. They weren't specific on it.
How did they? I read a little bit about it, but I was out of town. So, how did they catch him without?
Basically,
killing him?
after the shooting started happening, there was reports called in. The police and SWAT team were rushed out there. Well, rushed
Right.
is kind of a loose term, but the SWAT team came out there
Eventually,
and they basically walked up and the guy told him to put his weapons down. He did.
Huh?
He
okay.
surrendered himself.
Were they like really young kids?
Yeah, they were like they were saying, I read in they were like 15 and stuff. They were like teens.
Oh, well, they weren't that young.
Yeah, but still.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Anyway, the man was identified as Anders Bringring. Oh goddamn, Anders Brahring Breivik.
Okay.
I can't say
As
that
a
word.
character.
Apparently, he wrote a 1,500-page manifesto called 2083, A European Declaration of Independence. This date is particular because the author explains that he believes Europe will be in a civil war for the next 50 or so years.
How much sense do you think that book makes?
0. Because he thinks Europe will be in a civil war because of the cult. Because it will end the execution of cultural Marxism and the deportation of Muslims. Basically, he says, quote, if you're concerned about the future of Western Europe, you will definitely find the information both interesting and highly relevant. It took him 9 years to complete, apparently, and he just basically rants about how Europe is going to be in a civil war because of all the Muslims that are immigrating to Europe or something.
They have a huge Muslim influx.
Yeah, he says the old saying, if you want something done, you should do it yourself, is as relevant now as if it was then. Basically, his motive is pretty clear. He can't tolerate multicultural Norway or Europe in general. He's just pretty much a delusional idiot. He apparently has also visited a bunch of fundamentalist websites and belonged to a right-wing youth party. It's obvious this guy is just a domestic terrorist.
He also plays World of Warcraft.
Well, that's what I'm getting to.
He's in Sweden.
So obviously, if you read any of the news stories, this guy, he turned himself in because he wants to explain his position in court because he's trying to make a point. But he,
Good point.
yeah.
Slaughtering people is okay.
In any case,
There's
the
brown
motives
people.
are pretty clear.
Yeah.
He doesn't like Islam, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Were they Islamic kids?
And I don't know.
It's a youth camp, so since they're typically poor in those regions, yeah.
Maybe.
Also,
probably
since kids
more
are the
like-
future.
Yeah,
they're gonna
it
cause
didn't
civil war.
it didn't specifically say if he targeted specifically Muslim kids, but
Can we go ahead and just say that the ridiculousness of saying that people who are Muslim are inherently like violent is just proven to be wrong by this like instantly because this
Yeah.
guy's just trying to kill Muslims now. So now we have like crazy people who are Muslims and crazy people
I
who
don't even
aren't
know if all the
Muslims.
kids he killed were specifically Muslim. I mean, 85 kids, I'm sure some of them were not.
Well, if he was that adamant about it, though, the chances are that he probably would want to kill Muslims, even if he wasn't specifically targeting them.
Yeah. Well, anyway, continuing on. I mean, it's pretty obvious what his motives were. But one of the things that's been bugging me as I've read some of these news stories is the fact that they are in his manifesto, his 1,500-page manifesto. Apparently, people have figured out that he used video games to simulate and train
God.
prepare, specifically Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Is that what he says, that he prepared?
Yes. A quote from his manifesto, "I just bought Modern Warfare 2, the game. It's probably the best military simulator out there and one of the hottest games this year. I see Modern Warfare 2 more as a part of a train simulation than anything else. I still love to learn it though, and especially the multiplayer part is amazing. You can more or less completely simulate an actual operation."
Tell them to get with the times and buy Black Ops. Come on.
There's no dedicated servers.
He goes on. He goes on to further say that playing MMOs can give you a cover for doing operations. And I quote, "For example, tell them you have started to play World of Warcraft more than any other online MMO, and you wish to focus on this for the next month or year. This new project can justify isolation, and people will understand somewhat what you say by not answering their phones." So he's saying by saying you play an MMO, you can basically do whatever you want, and people won't question your antisocial behavior.
It's true.
Oh, it's true.
It is true.
I don't associate with them usually.
But so what he says is basically true. I guess yes, you can simulate shooting people in Modern Warfare.
He kind of said you could
Yeah, you
simulate
also have-
strategy and
yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
which
And
is
not really. You have 10
It is
grenades
true that you
on
say you can be antisocial, say while you play WoW, because my
That's
friends do
true.
this all the time. But the question is, why does this need to be brought up in the news reports? I mean,
Oh, it's Boogeyman.
well,
Yeah.
I get to that. I mean, it's like, first off, there's been multiple studies regarding video games and violence and result in no clear analysis one way or the other if they cause video game violence. Secondly, by his saying he uses the game as a training simulator, he shows the forethought of his actions, thus kind of absolving the games themselves of actual being a cause of this.
Yeah, this is another Virginia Tech. It's a crazy
Or another
person.
Columbine.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the same thing.
it's crazy people doing crazy things, and then they try to figure out a cause for it. Here's the cause: they were crazy.
Yeah.
That's
No,
it.
the cause was there's no Department of Homeland Security in Oslo that could have been watching him the whole
Oh,
time.
that's it.
there you go.
In Call of Duty, you aim gun at guy and he dies.
Yeah, I know, right?
well,
And when you get shot, you hide behind a corner, and then you're better, and then you're
If you give it a minute, your gunshot wounds will heal up like
But here's the third
Wolverine.
thing: like if
Rub
they're
an herb
kind
on
of insinuating the idea that they were kind of insinuating that he used Call of Duty to train to kill, and that Call of Duty is somewhat responsible for the shooting. Well, the question I ask is: does Gran Turismo or Mirror's Edge make you better at evading the police? I mean, does Monopoly teach you to break antitrust laws? I played
Goldman Sachs.
I played Just Cause 2 last night, where I'm an international terrorist. Does that make me want to go out and just kill people and parachute from helicopters on the other things and drop things on people?
Hey man, I have a claw coming online.
Yeah, well,
That'd be
it's
sweet.
the same as every time they try to do this. They do the same thing. They just go like,
Is Smith & Wesson responsible for me shooting a man outside my apartment? I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
Chex Quest made me eat more checks.
it's a ridiculous concept that seeing violence or experiencing violence means that you are prone to participate in violence,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous and makes no sense. The fact is, all these people are mentally fucked up somehow. They have mental problems. There's no normal
He was
person without
delusional.
mental problems murders
he was delusional
people.
racist. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really all his motivation was for. He didn't believe that Norway could handle different cultures.
He's a crazy person.
But just because he used these games, I'm sure that there's going to be some flack saying, especially that the Supreme Court case. I mean, this is Norway, of course, but recently the Supreme Court overruled the California law banning the sale of violent video games
Right.
to minors. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be somebody trying to, say, oh, it was because he was playing Modern Warfare 2. He had the training possible to carry out the strategy.
And you know why? Because some nonprofit organization is paying that lawyer $500 an hour to make that argument. So why wouldn't he make that?
And the funny thing is, I
argument.
looked into
It's
this.
terrible.
Norway actually has a pretty decent gun culture. They have a lot for hunting and for specifically biathlon, because that's like
yeah.
I guess a national sport.
Yeah,
there.
they love it
Ski and
there.
shoot.
Apparently, I guess there was 33 guns per 100 people in Norway. So I mean, it's not like the United States, which is like 88, which is ridiculous. But they still, I mean, compared to the rest of Europe, they're actually somewhat have a gun culture there. Going on earlier statements that Alex said. But it's strange though, because there was like 5 homicides there last year.
Right.
Returning with guns. So I mean, like, they're obviously not a violent culture. They've learned to use and respect the weapons.
Yeah.
But it's strange though that just because this man is crazy, and I'm actually curious because he's supposed to testify in court tomorrow, Monday.
Oh, it's gonna be funny.
Already?
They're supposed to say what he's.
I would like our fans to actually, if they get a chance, to watch that and send us their opinions on it.
I'm actually
'cause
curious what
I'd
people.
like to follow up
I'm actually
on
curious
this.
if people want Norway, if we have any listeners in Norway, maybe
Yeah.
what they think about this, because
That would be great.
Norway's a pretty non-violent country.
Watch
Yeah.
this guy's a listener.
If
I watch your
anyone-
Let's Plays all the time. I've learned lots.
If anyone lives in Norway, I really would like to hear your opinion on this, actually. That would be really interesting.
But yeah, it's kind of. I mean, the tragedy is terrible. A lot of kids got shot, but it's just weird that they're specifically highlighting out of this 1,500-page manifesto the couple of pages he talks about. He also played a bunch of other games too, which they don't really care about, but it's specifically Modern Warfare 2.
Like Youth Camp Hostage Simulator 2010.
Yeah, it's all a bunch of bullshit. That's what it is.
Anyway, yeah.
That was interesting.
Maybe I'll have a follow-up for this next week, depending on what he says, how crazy he is.
And just to clarify too, if like you made a good point with the lawyer thing, which is that if you pay a lawyer enough money, they'll say anything. They'll go on a campaign to talk about how they could do like cats rule and dogs drool from fucking what is it, Aristocats? I don't even remember what that's from.
Dude, seriously, if someone,
but seriously, they'll do anything if you give them enough money.
If someone's like, take this marker and stick it up your ass, and I'll pay you $500 an hour, I'd think about it for a long time. Like, how long's the contract for?
very long.
18 months. I'd be like, 18 months. So I stick that.
Alex, like, I already got it up there.
Yeah.
$500.
Where's my money?
How much?
He's already getting. So
I don't even know.
So yeah, not to make light of the situation, it's kind of sad, but
no, it is.
that's
But
crazy.
you know, there's not much you can do about it. The thing is, you're right. I mean, it's a bullshit reason for something to happen. The real reason it happened is because a person was crazy, and that's often the case. So, with that, let's
talk about
you're all
movies.
set. You're all set, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, let's move it on to the top grossing movies of the week.
All right, let's look at what movies made the most money last week. So, Captain America made $65 million last week. Harry Potter made $48 million, and Friends with Benefits made $18 million. So, me and Kevin got them all right.
Yeah.
And
fuck
you
you.
got one right, and Ryan got them all wrong. So that puts Kevin at the top at 23 and 10. I'm
Oh.
22 and 11. Ryan's 20 and 13, and Mike is 17 and 16.
I'm just rolling here.
Yeah, I took a risk and it didn't work out.
Yeah, I thought Harry Potter was going to still do better. I guess Captain America. People want to see
America.
that.
Well, people want to see Harry Potter. I feel the same way. So.
Captain America looked really bad, though. That movie,
and Harry Potter is
Review-wise,
fucking Harry
not
Potter.
doing
Harry
too
Potter
terrible.
looked like Harry Potter, which
Well,
is people are going to see it
yeah.
anyway.
So, yeah. No one saw Captain America? No?
No, I will never see it.
I'll see it eventually.
I'll see it when it's out of theaters. I'm not going to see it in theaters, though.
So,
On Netflix instant.
next
I'm
week,
bored.
we got, for July 29th, the movie's coming out. We got Cowboys and Aliens with Daniel Craig and Harrison Ford. Apparently, in the Old West, people in the Old West can fight a fleet of aliens and probably still win.
Hey, didn't you see
Horses, man.
Didn't you see
whatever.
Wild Wild West? They got that spider
Shut
robot,
up. There's no aliens in there.
but he punched an alien.
Shut up. Then we got Smurfs 3D. Oh. And Crazy Stupid Love, which is Steve Carell and some other people.
This
This is a
this
toughest
may
week.
be.
What
I
were the
gotta
last
say,
ones?
for the record, this is probably
Cowboys
the
and
hardest
Aliens,
week. we've
Smurfs
No,
ever
last
had.
week. Last week was
Last
Captain.
week, Captain America, Harry Potter, and Friends with Benefits. So I know what I got.
I gotta say, this is probably the hardest week we've ever
Okay,
had.
I'll go first, I guess. Number one, I'm going to pick Cowboys and Aliens. I think it's going to be pretty weak, but I don't think any of the competition is going to really be able to beat it. I think number two is going to be Captain America.
that's what
I see that making maybe like 25, 30 million. So, and then number three, Smurfs 3D. It may not get number three. I mean, Marmaduke bombed, but I'm going to put it there because I don't know.
I picked Cowboys and Aliens, Captain America, then Harry Potter. I didn't put
Yeah.
Smurfs in there. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, you're probably going to win
I
that.
I gotta
take
go
some
with
risks.
what Michael's saying, which is Cowboys, then Captain, then Smurfs. I agree with you. I think that Harry Potter's still gonna make some money this week, but I feel like Smurfs is still gonna pull it out, which makes me really sad. I would rather have Harry Potter make.
I saw some ads for that Steve Carell movie too, so I don't know if that will do
Yeah,
it.
I
I
just don't-
think
you know,
that's
I
gonna
don't-
make 15 or something.
I think it's gonna be kind of a bomb. Like it's gonna make
Actually-
it's gonna make money, but it's not gonna be a.
I guess I'm going different again. I said Cowboys, Crazy Stupid, and Captain America.
Okay.
I think that Steve Carell has some pull, especially with The Office.
Oh yeah, he has. He definitely has some.
And I think Emma Stone.
I can't consciously,
Yeah.
in good thought, give
Marissa
Smurfs
Tomei's in that,
anything.
dude.
I just can't do it.
No, I think Smurfs looks like maybe one of the worst movies of the year.
You know,
it looks that
It
bad.
could pull 5 million like Marmaduke did and just bombed and just died.
could.
That's what I'm thinking, because
could.
seriously, who likes Smurfs anymore? Who sees this and be
Who
like, oh, I
likes
want to go
Smurfs?
see Smurfs? Gargamel's a great villain. I mean, seriously.
Man, people saw Yogi Bear.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah,
is
but that wasn't at this time.
you got to
Yeah, that's
understand that
true.
there's a
That's
lot of
true.
really, really dumb people who watch dumb things. That's the problem.
This is a hard week. This is going to be
It
interesting
is.
next week to see what happens here.
No, I really do believe this is the hardest week we've ever had. Maybe. All right, we got to move on really quick
Okay,
though,
yeah.
because we
Top
only got 10
five.
minutes.
Top 5. All right. So top 5 most wanted. Number 5. TSA reacts to Boner Man. You talk about this one. I don't.
This is a great story. Okay, so this guy apparently was going on an airplane trip, and before he went to the TSA checkpoint, he put on a pair of sweatpants with no boxers and took 2 Viagras. Apparently, he went through the checkpoint 4 times in 80 minutes. During the last checkpoint, the guy's like, "We obviously got to pat this guy down because he's doing something weird."
Never gonna leave.
Yeah, so apparently one of the TSI agents took him to the back, and there's a quote that says, "First I thought he had a baton in his pants, but nope, that was his penis." The best part, okay, so this guy obviously doesn't like the TSA, and he had a huge boner, but the funniest part of the story, the guy who brought him back the 4th time to give him the intensive pat-down screening apparently quit his job the same day. And then said, quote, "I'm going to go home and make love to my wife." So,
Did he at least finish him off?
congrats, I guess, the Boner Man.
Yeah, Boner Man got a guy to quit. That's pretty impressive, actually.
So that guy would say faggot in a derogatory way, though.
He might, yeah.
I don't even know.
Handle
Like,
touching a
it
guy's
never
dick.
states if the guy was gay or not. I guess he was just fucking
being
with
a
the
prank,
TSA.
man.
No, he could have either been here. There's 2 scenarios, which is either he was fucking with them and
Yeah.
trying to prove a point,
Yeah, that's probably
or that's likely. But the other one is maybe he just is weird
Maybe
and
just
just
like
like that.
boners.
He got off on that.
Yeah,
you know,
who
maybe
knows?
that's possible. I mean,
yeah.
there's weird people out there. I don't know.
But yeah, good job, Boner Man.
I think it's funny either way.
Okay, so number 4 is Haboob is Muslim speak.
Yeah.
In Arizona, we had giant dust storms. They're all over
No, they're
iReport,
Haboobs.
CNN. Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, stands
Yeah.
for Haboob. But okay, so anyways, a lot of major publication called it a Haboob. Probably because it sounds scary, like boo, boob, like scary.
Boob.
I don't know.
I think they call it that because that's the name of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think they also call it that because they never call it. I've never seen them call it that before. They want to scare people. They're like, oh shit, this is bigger than a sandstorm.
Because it
But
sounds.
Well, yeah,
does
it
sound
sounds
worse.
exotic.
It sounds Arabic.
Yeah, it
Well-
also sounds catastrophic though. Too.
Yeah, it sounds exotic, and people don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, this is weird.
So, anyways, New York Times reported that a lot of people were up in arms with how people were using Haboob instead of dust storm. This is someone from the New York Times article. Don Yantz, a resident in Gilbert, Arizona, Mormon.
Gilbert.
Yeah.
Doesn't say he's Mormon, but he is. I'm
He's
insulted.
in Gilbert, so.
I'm insulted that local TV news crews are now calling this kind of storm a Haboob. How do they think our soldiers feel coming back to Arizona and hearing some Middle Eastern term?
Like another goddamn Haboob coming in.
Yeah, that's really dumb.
Yeah, and I just gotta take this little snippet that someone from Salon pulled. Alex Perrine, he took some quotes from the Facebook page of the Weather Channel when they called it a Haboob.
Oh, God.
Dale Stan, what's the problem with using American English, not that English British bullshit?
Yeah, right.
It doesn't say that part.
No,
does it? Okay.
no.
Okay, you just
Sorry. It's a dust storm. DUSTSTORM. This one happened to Arizona, not the Middle East. Josh Westberg. Haboob, English please. Joshua Westberg again. We're not in India. So he doesn't know who to be mad at. He doesn't know who to be mad
So
at.
that guy's not actually racist. He just
stupid.
loves America.
So since we're on a limited time frame, I got my suggestion out here, which is that we all think of a different word for something else that's used in our language in a different language, so that we can make it more American.
You use like a change of
Okay, I
Yeah,
got
for example, I say a burrito should be called a bean and cheese wrap.
Mine is fiance should be called a pre-wife.
That one's good. I like that.
Mine is General Tso's chicken should be called Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Michael Mullen chicken.
That one's good.
I say tsunami should be changed to nuclear power plant destroying wave.
That's good. And of course, deja vu should be glitch in the matrix.
Glitch in the Matrix.
All right, number 3.
So this is a personal one for people out in Arizona. 115 degrees. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Okay. So you go
it's,
ahead.
There's been a heat wave across the U.S.
So
Obviously.
123 degrees where you're from,
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Well, people have been bitching about the weather, and it is hot. But
It is.
These people think it's like the end of the world.
Yeah, they think it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's unsafe.
Okay, listen, we live in Arizona. The temperature yesterday was like 110, and that's like every day from like May to September.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up, seriously.
Yeah.
It's not a safety concern. Yeah, it's probably more uncomfortable because it's humid, dry heat.
Let's go
whatever
inside.
fuck.
That's what we do.
But it's not any less safe. If you die from heat, you're probably a retard. Okay?
No.
You're just stupid.
No, the fact is not that you're stupid. It's that you're either really old or a baby. Those are the only two things that die from heat. And the reason they die from heat is because, one, their parent is either negligent, or two, they're an old person and they were going to die soon anyway because old people are really frail.
And
they eat cat food.
I've lived in Arizona since I was 8 years old, and the average summer day is usually 110. I was in a hotter city than Phoenix, where the hottest day I've ever been in was 126 degrees.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat. It's not humid.
Did you go outside when it was that hot?
I went swimming, and the pool was 95 degrees.
That must have been insanely hot.
So we got out of the pool.
126.
It was the hottest day ever recorded in like the U.S. at that
That's
time.
unbelievable.
I think there's
the whole people,
city, Death Valley's hot.
The whole people that say like it's a dry heat. Yeah, humidity does make a factor when you can't sweat and stuff. But it doesn't matter once you're above 110 anyway.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Not only that, it doesn't make it any less safe. It makes it more uncomfortable,
Also,
but not less
second
safe.
you walk over asphalt, it's like 120.
Yeah.
Yep.
So number 2, DreamWorks Animation CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg. Okay, so this fucking dick. He is one of the co-creators, maybe the main creator of Shrek, the massive series. He made a comment about 3D. He said, "The bloom is off the rose, driven by a singular and unique characteristic that only exists in Hollywood: greed." So what he's saying is that 3D movies have become not lucrative and are being ruined as a market because people are making bad 3D movies. Let me say this again. The guy who made Shrek Ever After, which was never even
what number
supposed
is that?
to be made.
5 or 4?
This is... Oh, that's the fourth one.
That's the fourth one.
And they're making a Puss in Boots
Yep.
3D sequel, roll off, like a spin-off. The guy who made those is saying that
Greed.
the 3D has been compromised due to bad movies being made.
Greed.
Yeah, that's called
Fuck this guy.
hypocrisy. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's called being a giant fucking
You know what?
hypocrite.
Shrek sucks. It's overrated. I'm not a big fan of Shrek.
The first
one was okay.
I watched
Yeah.
the
After
first
that,
Shrek
it's
and I
done.
thought it was all right, and I was like, this is a decent movie to go up against, Pixar and stuff, because Pixar's movies are all better than Shrek.
Yeah.
But the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
is
Not
that
Cars.
that most well, yeah, that's true. But most movies, like most CG movies, are actually pretty bad, except for Pixar ones. And DreamWorks once in a while makes a good movie. And so when Shrek came out, I was like, it's all
not
right.
bad,
It's better than it should be
Yeah.
for a DreamWorks movie. But all
Then
the
they
sequels,
made like 4 sequels.
all the sequels are
Make
dog
so much
shit.
money.
They are
None
so much
None
worse.
of them are worth watching at all.
It's great watching like the third one and then watching the first one again. You're like, wow, I'm not delusional.
No,
This
it's-
is
no,
way
it's
worse
way-
movie.
way-
It's
the
funnier
first
too
one's way
because you could tell by the third movie that Mike Myers is totally phoning it in, even
Yeah.
more so than the first movie.
Yeah, it's like watching Rush Hour 3
Yeah,
with Chris
exactly.
Tucker.
Chris
Like,
Tucker's
it's just,
awful.
he does not fucking care at all. You can tell.
This is a bank check.
Yeah.
So, number 1, Cisco Systems, and I'm going to put a little underscore for Chuck Schumer, Senator Democrat of New York. So, I'll go over the first part of it, and then
Okay, you can talk about the
Kubo
first
will
part
go,
of it.
or Ryan will go over the second part. So basically, we have this debt ceiling talk, and Schumer now is saying that we need to create tax holidays for companies because they pay so much in taxes already. One of the companies that he's basically sucking the dick of is Cisco Systems.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to bring jobs into America by creating a tax holiday where they'd only have to pay 5% business tax. By the way, you know what our company pays? Tipping 40s?
What's
we pay
that?
15%. So they pay 3 times less than us, and they're Cisco Systems. By the way, they have itemized deductions probably 100 times larger than ours. Here's the best part.
course.
They say they need this. By the way, they did it in 2004 too. Same exact thing.
It didn't work, by the way.
Yeah, it didn't work. While they're asking for this, they're saying it will create jobs. They announced last week that they're laying off 10,000 people.
Sweet.
So
Creating jobs for more people.
how
The tax holiday is supposed to bring money into the U.S. in order to be able to use a fund to make infrastructure repairs. But the problem is, in the long term, it's going to lose money because they drop the taxes so low.
right?
So it's not really worth
That's
it.
why everyone's still going to
And also, they move back out once the holiday leaves,
of
too.
course.
So that's the
Everyone's
other
still
big
going to buy
problem.
Cisco. Doesn't matter.
But another
Yeah,
thing
those are
Cisco's
big products.
fucking great about, there's a man named Peter Ekai who used to work for Cisco. He left, made his own company that services Cisco products. Apparently, he was testifying for a antitrust suit with the Attorney General of South Carolina, who was giving deposition on a case. Well, apparently, Cisco he accessed Cisco's computer networks with a current employee in order to find bug fixes or something, which is, I guess, technically illegal. But Cisco went to the United States government, got an expedited arrest warrant for him, and arrested him in Vancouver and left him in jail, basically as an intimidation measure so he couldn't testify for this antitrust suit.
Awesome.
That's ridiculous.
Basically, they lied to both the Canadian and the American governments to get this thing passed quickly so they could just lock him up for a while.
That's bad.
Good job, Cisco.
And guess what? Everyone's still buying Cisco.
Oh, yeah, because there's no alternative. They have an option
anymore.
I work for a large company with 8,000 servers in their data centers, and I would say we probably have $100 million worth of Cisco equipment.
Yep, and you know what? I guess that salesperson that sold all that probably made about $8 million in commissions.
That's bad. All right.
Good job, Cisco. You did it.
Anyway, that concludes
On a high note.
wonderful. That concludes the 12th episode of the Tipping 40's podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want to send an email to us, it's podcast@tipping40s.com, or you can leave us a voicemail. Please do. It's 218-666-8407.
Now, guys, let's go out and get some French fries.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.